Hello and welcome to the Kitchen Design Experts. This is the channel that tells you all you need to know about kitchens, kitchen design and kitchen appliances. Now then, how much does a kitchen cost? Part 2. You can see part 1 at the end of this video or in the description below. Now part 2, basically we've already been through the actual cupboard cost for you, but I'm afraid that's only half the story. We have to add to that the cost of worktops, appliances, installation and even a little bit about decor.
And these are the elements we'll be talking about today, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll have an exact idea of how much your kitchen should cost. And if you did watch our previous video, you'll realise we gave you a few alternative costs, and you should really categorise these as good, better and best.
We're going to do the same thing with this video because just as in all walks of life, you have quality choices, and these quality choices can seriously affect the costs.
So let's start with worktops. Now, we've done many videos on the different types of worktops available to you, but I'd say that 95% of the worktops we sell fall into the category of either laminate or a solid surface like quartz or granite. So for now we'll use these two categories as an example.
When we're talking about laminate worktops, of course, they are considerably less expensive than the quartz granite solid surface alternative. But let me just explain what we mean by laminate worktops, because there are vastly different qualities of those. We're talking about the better quality of worktops. We're not talking about the type of laminate worktop where you can nip to your local DIY store and they come in lengths of maybe 3 metres by 600mm deep or 3 metres by 900mm deep. You take them home and your fitter then gets his jigsaw out and he tries effectively to make the joints, and he also, when there's any raw edge, you'll get a piece of laminate, a bit of Evo-Stick and stick it on the end. This is a poor job, and we're not talking about that today.
If you are having a laminate worktop, make sure it's all factory fabricated to size, including the joints and edges are all done on the machines as well, and that they use a PP edge rather than just a laminate edging. And this, unlike the laminate edging, allows you to have rounded and shaped corners and even an L cut into the worktop without seeing any joints.
Yes, and I think at this point we better bring back that plan we used in the first video, because that's what we're relating costs to. So we'll bring the plan up now and then we'll explain how much the different sort of worktop's going to cost for this plan. So this is the actual kitchen we're talking about. This is a plan of it. A quality laminate worktop for this size of kitchen would cost about £1,300. Now we have included in this estimate laminate splashbacks that would run all the way up from the worktop to the underside of the wall units. Now we nearly always include for wall cladding of one sort or another, and although it does increase the cost of the worktops, it will save you from tiling the walls afterwards. Therefore your decor budget is reduced by a similar amount. Now we have done a video about splashbacks, and see the link in the description below.
So solid surfaces. Now these are going to cost you quite a bit more than laminate surfaces, so really you need to know exactly what you're going to get for the extra money. I'd say that one of the reasons our clients like them so much is purely the aesthetics, the lovely shine you can get to the worktop. Now laminates do have imitations of stone, but they can't get as close as the solid surfaces can. On the practical side of things, they are more heat and scratch resistant, and you can also start to think about undermounted sinks with solid surfaces.
Yeah. Okay, back to the plan. So how much extra will you have to pay? As opposed to the £1,300 for laminate, you could expect to pay for this design about £3,500. But this ought to include for a 100mm upstand all round and a larger, taller splashback behind the hob.
So let's bring back the overall quote we introduced in the last video. You can see the various cupboard costs we discussed last time. Let's now add the two costs we're suggesting for the worktops. The quote's starting to come together, and as you can see, you're already going to have to make choices, but there's more.
Right, appliances. As with cupboards, you have choices here of quality and costs. We're going to ignore the extremes. I mean, you could go and buy an oven off Mealy for £3,000 to £3,500, or you could perhaps go on eBay and get a Whirlpool oven for £200. Massive difference there, but as I say, we'll ignore the extremes. Now, using the terms good and better, we're going to give you a list of some appliances so you can see various costs. As an example of good, you could be talking about Indesit or Hotpoint, and better, maybe Bosch or AG, etc.
And the appliance part of the quote is really the only part of the quote that you can accurately compare prices on a like-for-like basis with other companies. All the other various elements have different qualities and slightly different things in the design, whereas with your appliance, an AEG number 6 oven is the same no matter what company you go to.
The best advice is to ask your kitchen company to itemise out the prices of the individual appliances, and also ask if you can buy them yourself, not from the company, if you can find a better price on the internet. Most good kitchen companies will let you do this. Now, what you'll also find is a lot of kitchen companies will ally themselves to a particular brand. We, for example, are AEG Premier Partners, and what that allows us to do for that particular brand is become competitive with internet prices. So basically, unless you are brand specific, I will always try to recommend you use your kitchen supplier to get the appliances for you, because it saves you an awful lot of heartache. But obviously, if you want a particular brand and your kitchen supplier doesn't offer competitive prices for that brand, then by all means consider getting it off the internet.
Here is a typical list of appliances that will go in most kitchens. The models we've chosen are mid-price brands within the ranges and would have similar functions. So you can see with the good, it comes to $2,150 and the better $3,500. We can now add these average appliance costs to our growing quotation, and you can see from the list that the answer to how much does a kitchen cost is not quite as straightforward as you once thought. Nearly there, let's talk about the most important part of your kitchen project, and that's your installation quote. We say most important because this is the one that can be most misleading, especially when you're trying to compare an installation quote to a different company's installation quote, and you really need to know exactly what's going on in that so you're not surprised at any point in the future. And you might find that a lot of companies would just quote you for joinery only, and then they say either you can get someone around separately to quote for the plumbing, plastering, electrics, or they'll do it at a later date.
I mean, basically what you should aim for is for your kitchen company to do it all. That's the fitting, the plumbing, the electrics, the lighting and the plastering, because at least then you'll have a good idea of what the full job is going to cost you. But more importantly, that usually means that the kitchen company will take full responsibility for everything that happens in your home. That means they're basically project managing the full job.
Now, realistically, most of our clients want us to quote for the full installation job, and that includes the full joinery, including stripping out and clearing site and completion, all plumbing, all electrics, and that includes a full lighting scheme, and then also plastering all the walls and ceiling where required.
Now, if you are using quality tradespeople for your kitchen, their costs actually are pretty similar wherever you go, so it's quite easy for us to put a suggested cost down for this element of your quotation. Obviously, if you want to try and trim costs, the alternative, you've got to try and fit the kitchen yourself, or maybe use friends or relatives who know what they're doing. Another alternative would to be use inferior tradespeople, but obviously we don't suggest you do this.
The list we're showing you has been guided by experience, as over the years we have literally project managed thousands of kitchen installations, so these figures are pretty accurate for a job done as it should be. You can see here joinery including strip out and skip, £2,300, plumbing not including relocating radiators, £700, electrical including built-in light fitments not including cost of pendant lights, £1,500, plastering, making good walls where damaged from a full ceiling skim at £500. We can now add that to our quotation. You see it's really starting to come together now.
Okay, we're up to the last one now, nearly there. Decor, still an important part of your kitchen because it's got to be done. When we talk about decor, really, we're just talking about the floor covering, because if you recall, the walls have been covered either by the laminate, splashbacks or quartz upstands. So it's just about the floor. We're presuming that you are going to be prepared to just emulsion the walls and ceiling yourself.
Now, when it comes to aesthetics, the flooring is vital to achieving that look and feel of the kitchen that you want. And whether you're having, you might be having an open plan or kitchen, living, kitchen, diner, and that floor all has to come together with each various area of the room. So you really need to know exactly what you're doing.
I mean, there are, again, various costs at the beginning. You can start with quite a cheap vinyl layer that comes on a roll, right up to a expensive porcelain ceramic tile. But usually, typically, our clients choose like a vinyl tile, such as Antico or Carndine.
Referring back to our plan that we've been using for the purposes of this video, the cost of vinyl tile including installation would be about £900. Obviously if your room is twice as big then it'll be double.
Now let's add this cost to our final quotation. Now as you can see, there are so many choices for you to make that affect the overall costs. For instance, if you had a flat pack kitchen with laminate tops and the cheaper appliances, the cost would be £13,730. But if you went for the designer kitchen with quartz tops and dearer appliances, the cost would be £25,550, quite a difference. You might decide to fit it yourself, and you might decide to keep your existing floor, which would knock off £6,000 from both of those figures. So you can see there's a heck of a choice for you guys to make.
Usually compromise does come into your decision. It all depends on your circumstances. Are you moving house in 4 years, or is this your forever home? And knowing this will help you decide where to put your money. You might want to go all out on your cupboards, but tone down the worktops and appliances a little bit. But hopefully now you should have realistic figures at your fingertips to enable you to make this choice.
So in answer to that initial question, how much does a fitted kitchen cost? Well, with this example...
How long's a piece of string?
With this example, anything from £13,000 to £25,000. Now, yes, in itself perhaps that's not that helpful, but hopefully with all the alternatives that we've shown you, we ought to be able to allow you to make your kitchen cost what you actually want it to cost, and that's the most important thing. Now, obviously, I'm sure after these two videos, there's loads and loads of questions you might want to ask us. By all means, bang them in the comments box. We do absolutely assure you we'll get back to you. But that's all for today, so it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Bye. In 4 years, is this your forever home? If you do okay. Usually compromise does come into this.
Yep. Sure is.
Okay. Usually. Shut up. Right, just don't think. Have a coffee. Okay.
Yeah.
Usually compromise does come into your decision. Just go straight away. Shut up.
Oh, let's just walk away. Walk away. The best advice is to ask your kitchen company to shoot a shicker.
Plumbing, not including any work. Radiators. Okay, should I say that? Not including any work relocating.
Just put not including relocating radiators.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then tone down the tops and worktops a little bit. But
tops and worktops.
Tops and worktops. Just after that, I was thinking, I've got these realistic figures now. I've got this down.